Hey everyone, great to see you. Welcome back to Piano Tech Radio Hour once again. Got to get my speaker on properly here. Okay, so looks like we're rolling in bit by bit. I am I'm actually streaming into you from Puerto Rico today, doing a little bit of traveling, so it's exciting. And we'll just let a few more people enter. So today, we don't have a guest for today, but I thought what we would do is kind of open things up for conversation, check in with everybody, see how they're doing, and we're in an interesting state right now. Most folks are moving out of the pandemic, I suppose, and trying to return to a sense of normalcy. And so, interested to hear how that's all going for you all, if things are getting better business wise or anything like that. So, I'll give a quick introduction now to the event for those watching on Facebook and YouTube, and then we'll get started. Let me pull that up. So, again, this is Piano Tech Radio Hour being brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, an online educational resource that offers you cutting edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at www.pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And we're putting together a really cool conference convention coming up in September. It's going to be 3 days of piano tech content. I believe we have the 2nd, the 10th, and the 17th of September. That's a Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday of subsequent weeks. We surveyed you, the potential participants, and you all like that idea. I think it's pretty cool. We're flexible because we're doing things online, so why try to force everything into just a few days? And what I haven't made too big a deal of is the other parts of the convention. So it will not be going on simultaneously, but it's going around the same time, so that we can try to integrate different things going on. So after the day after the first day of the convention, we'll have a day for piano teachers, and we'll be doing content for piano teachers. And then the day after the second day of our piano tech convention, there'll be a day for piano players. And then finally, the day after the last day of this convention, there'll be a day for the general piano industry. So I'm looking forward to kind of using this opportunity to just bring a bunch of people with similar interests together, try to facilitate ways in which you all can connect with folks that you might find useful that are a little bit outside of our domain, be it piano teachers, players, or just general industry professionals, brands, and things like that. And vice versa. If we can connect with some teachers and help them understand a little bit better, how to look for a piano, how to think about their piano, how to, teach their piano students how to understand pianos better. So I'm looking forward to everything. It's gonna be pretty fun. I'd love to kind of single out a couple folks and just say hi, if maybe allow folks to unmute. I believe you have the capacity to unmute. I'm looking at my good friend Carl Lieberman here. I'm wondering if you're up for chatting a little bit. You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm always up to chat.
Great, great. What's going on in your life? I don't want to make it a huge public thing necessarily, but I feel like, is your health okay? Are you doing okay right
Well,
now?
my health is okay, but I'm in the midst of having a prostate crisis, which is I don't know how it's going to resolve, but basically I'm okay right now.
Okay.
And in terms of work, I'm just working. A big commitment for me is Princess Cruises. I take care of all of their ships, and I have for quite some time. And so I've started to go back taking ships that no one's seen the piano for 16 months. And I'm bringing them up to pitch and doing a couple of hours of maintenance on each of the pianos, shaping the hammers, basic maintenance, which they never get. So I've been doing that on a couple of ships. And in September, a couple of ships are going to begin regularly in Los Angeles. So I'll start to do the cruise ships. The concert hall where I work has been completely closed, but they're having their first two concert events. We're having Chucho Valdez, the Cuban pianist, in October.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
we're slowly going to begin our concert schedule again. And I work at a theater that does the Broadway shows, and Hamilton is beginning in August. So I'll be going in to do that. So some of the things that I haven't done for 16 months, I'm going to begin to do. I've always had my regular private clients, but I'm only really doing 2 or 3 or 4 private jobs a week, which is actually just suits me fine. I'm completely happy. I'm not soliciting any new work. At this point, whatever comes in, comes in. The recording studios, the 2 recording studios, 3 recording studios where I work, have been online for almost a year now. So I'm still going into doing those. And so basically I'm working 15 hours a week. And you know what? That's just fine. I like to keep my finger in it. And I don't really want to take on any significant new jobs or anything like that. I'm kind of winding down, but happy to be at work.
Good. Yeah, that sounds like a leisurely but profitable lifestyle that you've got going on there. When it comes down to the cruise ships and the kind of filing the hammers and getting some of that work done, is that something where you've just built a relationship with them to the point where you
Well,
just say,
I've,
"I'm going
I've
to file
worked
the
for Princess
hammers," or
Cruises for 49 years, and Princess Cruises is owned by Carnival. So I also am doing some work for Holland America Line, and their first ship going into is New Amsterdam. And Holland America has set up a thing with Lincoln Center in New York. They've got a room where they have a brand new Hamburg Steinway, and they do classical concerts. And so on the Holland America, I just, the thing about cruise ships, it's profitable from the technician's point of view. You do these pianos every 2 weeks. Once you've got them settled down, there's very little that needs to be done other than broken strings and stuff. But you don't really do regular maintenance. You're always in a rush. There are patrons, in the rooms where you're working. The last thing they want to do is hear you tuning the piano. So, once I've got the pianos stable at pitch, it's 15-minute tunings on 4, 5, 6 pianos each time I'm on the ship. But in terms of taking the time to pull the action, shape the hammers, make even up the aftertouch, make sure the pedals are working optimally, clean everything really thoroughly. The basic sort of maintenance, they never get that work. And so what's nice is as the ships are coming back online, ship by ship, they're paying me, to take 2 days for each ship and go down and hit the 4 or 5 most important pianos and kind of do a solid 2 or 3 hour maintenance on them. And so this is a good thing to do, and it'll pay dividends because Princess, for instance, has a regular guy in Alaska, a regular guy in Florida, and me in Los Angeles, and we do almost all of their work, and all of us are on top of it. I also see ships that are coming from around the world, and they were last serviced in Valparaiso, Chile, or they were last serviced in God knows where. And these ships get whatever service they get, and because the port agent generally hires the piano technician, and the port agent is getting someone who's the cheapest person, and so they get god awful service in a lot of places. Princess is very good. They have pianists actually in the positions in the entertainment department that manage me and manage my colleagues, and so they know when they're getting decent work. And so, but they have 3 core guys who take care of all of their pianos. So I have a long-term relationship with them. And basically, if there's something I say needs to be done, then it gets done. And the same of my 2 colleagues. A lot of the cruise ships, people who work on cruise ships can speak up on this, but they're kind of intermittent. They show up in port, someone calls you, and they offer you $240 to tune two pianos, you know, and they're
Okay.
looking for very, very low wage
Right.
work. And
Right.
that's
Right.
typically the way the cruise ship industry works. I'm kind of lucky in that I have a long-term relationship with Celebrity, Princess, and Holland America, and basically they're not price sensitive. They're happy to pay top dollar. They just want me to show up and do what I say I'm going to do.
You mentioned something earlier that patrons are kind of coming in and out of the rooms. Do they have pianos in private rooms on those ships at all, or are
Well,
they mostly just in public
on
spaces?
Celebrity, in the highest valued suite, they
Wow.
have a Yamaha Grand or a Kauai Grand. And so, you know, that's not something. I very rarely see Celebrity or RCCL ships in Los Angeles. They've withdrawn from Mexico, and so I see a Celebrity ship once or twice a year. And so, if I'm doing all the pianos, I might go up into the suite and do a quick one over on the suite piano. But normally, you've got the two stage rooms, and you've got the lobby, and you've got the bar. Those four pianos
Right.
are the core pianos, and you want to make sure that you give them the time required. One of the things that comes up on these, they have disclaviers on them. And if people don't know what they're doing and they never service the pedals, then what happens is the pedals overheat, the solenoid overheats, and then they shut down. So you need to do a legitimate pedal adjustment on them so that you're within the red green lights on, and the solenoid sort of overheat. That's the main issue I see on those pianos. It's you're not doing concert work on these things. You're doing good, solid piano work, making them playable, keeping them solidly in tune and pitch. And me personally, because I do the cruise ships and have for years, I have complete sets of Yamaha bass strings from C1s to C7s. And so when a ship comes in and they have a broken bass string, I've always got the string with me. And that's sort of required for this type of work. You know,
Right, because you're in and out. The
yeah, you
ship's
can't
leaving.
order it and then do it. So, I keep my sets current, and that's sort of how I handle that.
I don't know if did I ever tell you I played on a cruise ship for a summer?
No, what ship?
Carnival. Yeah,
Okay,
Carnival
the
Cruise
lowest
Lines.
end of the low end.
I guess so. I just remember I was in music school and there was this, a couple of guys that were also in music school say, hey, there's this guy named Leo, and reach out to him and he's looking for musicians and you do an audition and if you get in, then they put you on a ship. And I think he did for multiple lines. But I mean, pretty sweet deal playing music on a cruise ship. You're kind of on the top of the ladder there in terms of people.
Well, it is,
I,
but see, usually you were probably a guest entertainer, and so you had a short-term contract. Most of
yeah,
the guys, this is their regular gig. They're on for 4 months, they're off for 2 months. They're on for 4 months, they're off for 2 months. And, there's kind of, you know, everyone's always checking on them. You play four sets every day and you've got to make sure you're there on time and all this sort of thing.
which
But
is hard for
generally,
musicians to be on time. Yeah.
yeah, well, these are pros. The people who play on these ships are pros. They're a lot of them are from Europe, from elsewhere, and this is a regular gig for them. And so it's like guys who play in restaurants and they have a regular gig every Friday and Saturday night. They play at Antonio's. This is this type of thing. They play on the cruise ships, and they're serious professional musicians. They're good.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And they've got. I remember when on the ship that I was on, there was a Filipino band. Like they would call them, oh, the Filipino band, and they could do Beatles covers. Like they were the Beatles, and you'd be like, wait a second, what are these Filipino guys that are singing the Beatles? It sounds like the Beatles. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, they get really solid musicians on those. The nice thing about the gig for a musician, especially if you're kind of studying, there you get time to practice, and you only have to play during the performance hours, and maybe there'd be a rehearsal here and there. But yeah,
Well, that's
I
another,
remember it
just I say,
fondly.
there's usually one piano. Frequently it's in the chapel. Sometimes it's in the crew bar, but frequently in the chapel, that is never played. But that's where the musicians go to rehearse. And and practice, not rehearse, practice. These guys practice. And the musicians may pull me aside and say, listen, can you get to the chapel piano? And of course you'll say yes. You want to be on good terms with the band master, the production master, the guys who are nominally your supervisors. I report directly to the entertainment staff in the home office, but their eyes and ears on the ground are the bandmasters and the production coordinators. And so you want to establish relationships with them. You want to check in and make sure that, if there's anything that's on their mind, you've attended to it. I encourage any of the pianists, if there's a note that's bothering them, if there's anything, please just leave me a note. And usually they will, because you want to make sure you take care of what's on their mind. I'm really fast. I'm flying through each of these pianos, and I may miss something. So,
Yeah, it's different than. It reminds me there's sort of these different types of gigs where you have this regular maintenance thing going on. There's the cruise ships, there's performance halls or something like that. There's universities, but like a university, I feel like it's a little bit, for some reason, a little bit harder. Maybe there's just some kids that get in and out of the rooms that aren't music majors or whatever, or kids haven't learned, how to be fully responsible yet. But I feel like on a ship like that, like you said, there's professional musicians and they'll communicate with you pretty well, probably about what's going on and make sure that you're working as a team. So that's pretty cool. I want to let's see if anybody else wants to check in. Where Dave, there you are, Dave Skolnick. You want to say hi, Dave? Oh, hey, me? What? Me?
Well, hi. No, you didn't warn me. I would have worn different shoes.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't know really. I mean, I'm just so used to listening to all you guys that it's not like I
You're on
have.
the spot, man.
Well, uh, I can think about it and you can come back to me. It's I no, actually, to be honest, lately most of what's been consuming my attention, believe it or not, is this upcoming guild um,
Oh, yeah.
convention and all the issues surrounding that, which is not something I don't think we ever talk about that here. And if truth be known, it's something that I've wanted to talk to you and Carl about at some length, though I never imagined this would be the entirely appropriate venue to do that. But I could just drop it as a thought to follow up that with everything you've been doing, I don't know, is it 2 years now or more that you've been doing these?
I think I started in 2017, 18, 19,
no, but not the radio
4
hour.
years. The radio hour's just been since last March, I think, March or April.
Right, radio,
Yeah.
but prior to that, your on site.
The Masterclasses, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been at this now for a while, and maybe you actually, the two of you can address this. This is me being spontaneous.
Hey,
but
why not?
What you might envision as a interfacing, or between the direction that you've been really refining and how it relates to some of the things the Guild has been doing and is trying to do. And if in fact you are aware of what the overlap might be between your work here and the people who visit here and the Guild, because it's not completely what would be congruent. It's not it's not all the same. So
I mean, it's not like the same people that are like instructing.
And I don't even know what the percentage might be of people who come here regularly that are involved with the guild, and how much
Right.
now who's never heard of it or who has absolutely sworn never to engage with it. So
There are those.
yeah, there's one.
Just one.
So I'd be happy to hear,
You want to
if you
go
want,
first, Ethan, or can I go?
You've got something to say. Go ahead and chime in, Carl.
Well, one of the things I've tried to connect Ethan to our executive committee, and I'm of the opinion that some of what we're doing in the guild is we're overreaching. We're trying to create too many things, and it would be great if we partnered with existing institutions in a way that was mutually beneficial. So I've tried to connect Ethan to Mark and Jim and the leadership and find out where we can give discount programs or simple things that we can do to to scratch each other's back. We're competitors and we're also colleagues. And I think there's a way to do it amicably and in a way that is mutually beneficial. But, not a lot has come of it. We've had some very nascent kind of discount programs, and I don't think we've gone much farther than that. But I've kind of tried to connect the two sides.
Yes, I think that's really great too. That's been cool that you put some effort into doing that. Yeah, I mean, I'm in touch with Sean Bruce from the
yes.
Guild, and he's been. It's very helpful to be in touch with him because he's on the ground, and he does a lot of organization for the convention, and he's kind of familiar with a similar process to what I'm doing over here, but just sort of like the analog version, I suppose. Organizing conventions and managing them and getting sponsors and promoting and all this stuff. So I don't know. We were just meeting a week ago or something like that, talking about the upcoming conventions, both of them, the one that the PTG is doing as well as the one that I'm putting together. I mean, I think it's a matter of just kind of continue to try to feel it out. I think the PTG is trying to figure out where its forte is, I suppose. Like maybe Carl, you were saying maybe there's too many things they're trying to do. I don't know that for certain, but that it's kind of like what could be the focus. And I think I've heard some talk of just kind of being that repository of information could be one of those things, or like some sort of an archive, a place where people can go and find information. I mean, that's definitely there. I mean, I've always found the testing and qualification procedures, although, I'll acknowledge there's people that, probably should be sort of recognized at a higher level within the guild that wouldn't necessarily take or pass some of those tests. But I think that it's great that those are there, and there's like a standard, right? Because I don't know, there's not really much beyond those tests in our industry as a standard of, you know, adequacy and professionalism. And I think that that's definitely a strong point that the guild has going.
Ethan, can I just
Yeah.
interject one thing? Because I definitely did not intend. I mean, if anybody else had
I
something
picked
to
on
share,
you, so whatever you have to
yeah,
say.
it's your fault. This is your fault. But in fact, I would love to have a chance to, talk to you and Carl, at greater length. My sense, if I can just encapsulate it in the two directions, and I guess in honor of David, and I'll say this, probably till I die, almost every time it comes up, there's this question of duality. And he taught it to me. I've taught it to my daughter, and it's here, presents here. There's a focus and something that a direction that you've been going in and refining that's very much more in touch with modern ways of communicating. And it feels like, and you also have a presence, on the guild website. There is a link to what you're doing here. At some point, what I think any of the people here would probably, if they had to articulate it, what they would want to steer clear of, if this is the way they perceive the organization, is the level of politics, which is, I don't frame it as a negative, but it's part of any organization. And it's not the part that most people, decide, I'm going to join this organization so I can get into the politics of it. So what I imagine is some way, even though you've tried and Carl has tried initially, I envision something that is going to be able to at least incorporate the model that you're creating, and almost a symbiosis in a way, as the organization tries to come into the 19th or 20th century.